I welcome you to my channel Learn with Pharmacy. In today's video we are going to see introduction and history of microbiology. Before starting video, subscribe and press notification bell for regular updates. First point we will study is Introduction to History of Microbiology. So, we will see what is microbiology. This word microbiology is divided into three parts. They are micro, which indicates small microscopic size. Bio indicates living organisms. And logos means branch of science. So, collectively microbiology is said to be branch of science which deals with the study of microscopic size of living organisms, that is simply called as microbiology. Study of microbiology basically involves the study of unicellular, multicellular and acellular microorganisms. The microorganisms are divided into bacteria, fungi, protozoa, virus, algae, etc. Louis Pasteur was the first scientist who had given these term microbiology, so he is also known as father of microbiology. So, as we are dealing with the study of microbiology, it includes microorganisms, and when microorganisms will arrive, then to study microorganisms we will require microscope. So, what is microscope that we will see? Microscope is the optical instrument that is basically used to magnify the images or specimens which we are not able to see with our naked eyes. So, specimens means the slide which we are placing under microscope to observe microorganisms. That particular slide is known as specimen slide. Many people think that microorganisms are only harmful, they are responsible for causing diseases in human body, but the statement is wrong. Microorganisms plays both constructive and destructive role in human life. Now we will see history of microbiology. The existence of microorganisms was firstly hypothesized for many centuries before their actual discovery. This hypothesis of unseen microbial life was postulated by Jainism, which is based on Bhagwan Mahavira's teaching as early as 6th century. So what does it indicate? Before the discovery of microorganisms, one hint, postulation was placed that in our surrounding there are microbial life, that means microorganisms are present, and these postulation came from the teaching of Jainism from Lord Mahavira that microorganisms are present. Lord Mahavira has only guessed about microorganisms, but after the postulation, number of great microbiologists came and they started study on microbial life, and those microbiologists proved the existence of microorganisms. So, let's move on the historical work and achievements of various microbiologists in field of microbiology. So, the first microbiologist which we are going to see is Antony van Leeuwenhoek. Antony van Leeuwenhoek is said to be one of the great microscopists. And he was the first person to observe and to describe the accurate shape of RBCs, that is red blood cell. Antony van Leeuwenhoek was the person who explains about unseen little disease-causing agents, to whom he termed as animalcules, before word microorganisms was get derived. So, Antony van Leeuwenhoek told that there are some little small-sized microbial agents which are responsible for causing diseases, so, he termed that agents as animalcules. Then after this new word was discovered which was microorganisms. Antony van Leeuwenhoek was the first who had invented the microscope, and the size of lens of microscope invented by him was just like size of pinhead. So, here we conclude that father of microbiology was Louis Pasteur and father of microscope is Antony van Leeuwenhoek. And he was also the first person to prove that microorganisms are also present in water. Antony van Leeuwenhoek wrote a letter in 1684, in which he had explained about the inhibitory action of acetic acid on microorganisms. So, here we had completed the historic achievement of first microbiologist Antony van Leeuwenhoek. So, second microbiologist is Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur is said to be one of the great French microbiologists. The credit for the foundation of bacteriology as a branch of microbiology goes to Louis Pasteur. Means Louis Pasteur is the person who has found the branch of microbiology, and that branch of microbiology is called as bacteriology. He was the first person who has coined the term microbiology, and thus he is also called as father of microbiology. Louis Pasteur was the first person who had proved that microorganisms are also present in air. Pasteur was famous for his series of experiments to disprove the concept of spontaneous generation of microorganisms, and he proved it successfully that the organisms are generated on animate and inanimate matters. So what does it mean? Several microbiologists were thinking that microorganisms are generated themselves, their growth is spontaneous, but Louis Pasteur proved that microorganisms doesn't grow spontaneously, but they required certain kind of host body to generate or multiplication and cultivation. Pasteur also proved that microorganisms are not evenly distributed in environment and their number varies from place to place. Example, if we are outside, then there will be definitely more number of microorganisms as compared to inside a house, so Pasteur proved these phenomenon. He was also get famous for the method he invented for food preservation. The process of preservation of food is called pasteurization. Example, we are boiling or heating milk for preserving it, so the process of heating, boiling is known as pasteurization. In these process, food material, dairy materials and beverages are preserved by heating for few minutes at temperature of 50 to 60 degrees Celsius. When he had invented pasteurization process, then at same time new field, that is sterilization, was also invented. Sterilization means killing the 100% of microorganisms. Louis Pasteur has also introduced vaccines for cholera, rabies and anthrax. So, the third microbiologist is Robert Koch. He is said to be the father of medical microbiology. He gives the first confirmed evidence that in microorganisms and bacteria there is ability to cause diseases in the human being. Koch was the first who focused on the technique of isolation of bacteria in pure culture. Koch had developed a technique to make pure culture, so, here pure culture means. We know that in our atmosphere there are number of microorganisms present, so from that when we are making a single isolated microorganisms in laboratory, so the microorganism that is formed here is known as pure culture. In 1876, Koch isolated the bacteria in its pure form called as Bacillus anthracis, Mycobacterium tuberculosis and Vibrio cholera. These were the three species of bacteria which were isolated into their pure form. Koch was the first who started the utilization of nutrient agar media for isolation of bacteria. So, here the nutrient agar media is a one kind of media that we are using in our microbiology field for the purpose in order to isolation of bacteria, cultivation of bacteria in order to develop the pure culture. The assistant of Robert Koch, Richard Petrie, has designed a plate for holding nutrient agar media or any other solid culture media, so, the plate was named as Petrie plate in honor on his invention. The fourth microbiologist that we have to study is Sir Alexander Fleming. So, Sir Alexander Fleming discovered antibiotic called as penicillin. The discovery of penicillin was accidental, because when Sir Alexander Fleming was performing his microbiological experiment, he found that there is one bacteria, that is Penicillium notatum, that was generating chemical agent which was destroying various pathogenic bacteria. And pathogenic bacteria are the bacteria that causes diseases in human being. And thus the penicillin is called as broad-spectrum antibiotic. So next one is Edward Jenner. In the year 1718, Edward Jenner had started the practice of inducing the artificial immunity in human body. The first vaccine was discovered by Edward Jenner for the disease smallpox, and the vaccine he developed, that vaccine is responsible for inducing artificial immunity in the human body. He developed the vaccine of smallpox by the material obtained from the lesions of cattle, when the cattle were suffering from the disease of cowpox. So, try to get it how the first vaccine of smallpox was developed when the cow was suffering from the diseases cowpox. Then certain kind of lesions means wound get developed on cow, so from that lesions he took some microorganisms, bacteria, and he used that bacteria to make vaccine of smallpox that is useful in human beings. So, when we are taking the vaccine, so we are providing immunity to our body, so the vaccination is also called as immunization, and that is the reason Edward Jenner is called as the father of immunology. The word vaccine is derived from the word vacca, which means cow, thus it indicates word vaccine is given in the honor of work done by Edward Jenner. Try to get the concept that the any immunity booster is called as vaccine, and the word vacca means cow. All the vaccines are not developed by cow, but vaccines are also developed from other animals, but in honor of first vaccine, any immunity booster is called as vaccines. The last microbiologist is Joseph Lister. In 1867 he started the utilization of antiseptic in surgery. Joseph Lister was the first who started the utilization of phenol as a chemical agent in order to control the growth of microorganisms in surgical wounds. So, Joseph Lister was the first who started sterilizing all the instruments before making their use in surgery. So try to get the last point. Joseph Lister was the first person who firstly developed the technique for controlling the population of microorganisms, and thus he is called as father of antiseptic surgery or father of aseptic surgery. Here is the end our topic. Like, subscribe, and press the notification bell for latest update. Don't forget to comment how interesting video was.